We're here at CES 2020 in CLEVO/XMG's booth, and they have some very powerful gaming laptops for us. Starting off, we have the XMG Ultra 17/the CLEVO X370. This thing is an absolute beast. You have the RTX 4090 in here with a total TGP of 175 watts. And of course, that's paired with the Core i9-13900HX, and that gets you 24 cores in a laptop. It's crazy that they keep on doing that, but we have the cooler right here, which shows us how they are able to manage it. Look at this, Mark. There's heatsink that starts there and ends all the way up there. There's so much copper in here. I feel bad for touching it because it's gonna look nasty later. So this is interesting. What they were saying is this right here cools the VRMs and a little bit of the memory modules for the GPU. But one of the problems that they had in designing this cooling solution was that NVIDIA's new 4000 series is, well, the dies are smaller, which upped the energy density by quite a bit. That made it a lot more difficult to get all of that heat away because of just how much smaller it was, which just gives you more power for the GPU die itself. And again, you have a real hot boy in here. Fortunately though, they apparently have been able to run this in firmware for 8 hours plus and maintain less than 80 degrees on the GPU. That is truly impressive, guys. That's pretty good. Now, as just a laptop, this thing is a beast. You do not want to be walking around with this all day. It's 7.2 pounds. I guess that's what you need to cool down that much power. Also, the I/O here is exceptional. So we've got a microphone jack and a headphone microphone combo jack, as well as 2 USB Type A's. Around back, now this is very interesting. We get our power in, 2.5 gigabit LAN, and an HDMI port, but also there's mini DisplayPort. Why the heck do they have mini DisplayPort in 2023? Well, there's a good reason for that. So this mini DisplayPort doesn't have the issues that you might have with Thunderbolt or USB Type-C. So Thunderbolt needs to go to the CPU because it's running basically PCIe Express, whereas this DisplayPort goes directly to the GPU. Also, you can run a USB Type-C to the GPU, but if you get like a cheap adapter or something like that, your VR headset, not gonna work. This right here, just a lot more reliable, a lot less screwing around with potentially bad adapters and stuff. You just have DisplayPort, don't have to worry about it. And finally, if you do want Thunderbolt, there's 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the side over here. You're good for that as well. And one thing that I wasn't expecting to see is on the top up here. So we have a full HD webcam. Fortunately, we do expect that. People didn't follow Asus with their whole Zephyrus, let's yeet the webcam thing. That was a really bad idea, guys. But also up here, we have Windows Hello facial recognition, which I absolutely love, and you don't expect to see that on an absolute beast like this. Also, of course, 4K panel, 144 Hertz. 4090 might actually be able to run it, even though it's actually a 4080. But if the 4090 doesn't give you enough frames, you can drop this down to QHD with 240 Hertz. That's probably the one that I would choose. Also right here, this SSD is PCIe Gen 5. This thing is going to absolutely rip, especially when you pair it with the 5600 megatransfers per second RAM that you're able to fit in here with the HX CPU. Now, of course, large laptop, large battery. This right here has a 99 watt-hour jobby in it, and that is as large as you can fit on a plane. And they said like, oh, it has NVIDIA Optimus, so on and so forth. You might be able to get 8 hours. You're gonna be lucky if you get like 2, 3 maybe. Just made some faces at me. These things are powerful. It's not my fault that it's a 175 watt GPU in it. But of course, you can have all the power in the world, and none of that matters if the laptop sucks to use. Fortunately though, the last couple of years especially, CLEVO's really stepped up their game for just the build quality of their machines. This thing's very impressive. Like, look, this doesn't even have screws in it, and it isn't flexing. Then again, I'd hope that with how heavy this thing is, it's built like a tank, and fortunately it is. Also, the keyboard, let's go over here. Keyboard's pretty good. It isn't exceptional. I'd give it like maybe an A- or something like that. Same tier as like MSI's keyboards. I wouldn't give it quite like an Asus or Alienware level of stuff. That said though, look at this trackpad. It's absolutely massive. And it works really well too. Like, it feels good to use. It does feel like one of those ones where you do need a little bit of hand grease on it, like yeah, so we're getting a little bit of stiction there. A little bit of sticking, but once you get it all nice and gross, oh, there we go. Works fantastic now. Gross.
So our sponsor for CES 2023 actually dropped out, but dbrand footed the bill. The only catch is they want me to come out onto the streets and offer tech tips to random people for free. I'm not optimistic for how this is gonna go. Hey, wait. Is that an AirPod?
Which one?
Are those AirPods?
Yeah.
Do you really like them?
No, I don't like.
You don't like AirPods?
Yeah.
Hey, wait. Hey, excuse me. Excuse me. Do you want a tech tip?
Sure.
Are you sure? Yeah?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, do you know when you use Google,
Yeah.
that when you put a word into quotation marks, it'll search for or a phrase in quotation marks, it'll search for the whole phrase?
Yeah.
You already knew that?
Yeah.
Do you know that if you put a minus in front of it, then they'll take it out of the search results?
At that, I did not.
You didn't know that?
No, that's next
Yes!
level.
Oh, well, I'm
So-
glad I could be of service.
Oh, thank you.
Can you do one more thing for me?
What?
Go to shortlinus.com.
Linus Tech Tips.
Linus Tech Tips.
Yes, I'm putting the pieces together. Is that what's happening right now?
Yeah, I'm giving out tech tips.
Awesome.
That's right. It's for ShortCircuit, actually, the other channel. Yeah.
But what happens if you don't want a 7.2 pound laptop in your bag, but you still need heaps of power? Well, CLEVO has a 5.2 pound laptop. But seriously though, this thing is very impressive. Okay, can you guys kill the AC in here? Okay, AC just turned off. The entire time that we've been shooting this video, this laptop right here has been running Furmark. You can barely hear it. Listen to this. Not only is this quiet, like it's probably somewhere around like 40, 42 decibels, but the pitch of it is exceptional. Like if you have a quiet laptop that's like, it still is gonna be very annoying. Whereas this right here is just kind of like the nice low hum, sort of sounds like air moving around. Now this right here has up to a 4070 in it. Wow, you can really feel the heat that is kicking off. But it's the full fat 140 watt version. Now for the 4000 series, NVIDIA have made my life incredibly difficult because the power of an RTX 4070 is just all the way across the board. You can power it with 35 watts or up to 140 like we have here. Now right now this is the balance profile and it's drawing what? 115 watts, currently at 77 degrees Celsius. That is incredibly impressive. Can we, if we go to the power profile here, can we get that even higher? Okay, we did just enable the full fat 140 watts mode, but they have told me that the fan profile is not tuned for this. You can see the power jumped up. Our temperatures are currently dropping because the fans are just absolutely giving it. But that does show you just how good of a job they've done with the cooling. Like if you put it in turbo, it's at 71 degrees now. It just keeps on dropping. How did they achieve that though? To cool this thing down, CLEVO has made their very first vapor chamber cooler. And as we've seen, it works exceptionally well. Look at the size of the fins on this thing. I know I've said that a couple times now, but they're absolutely massive. That's why this thing's coming in at just over 5 pounds. You cannot have this kind of cooling. Well, I guess if you broke physics, you could do it a bit lighter. Look at that, Mark.
Pretty.
It is pretty. I forgot to mention it before, but this is the PE60 from CLEVO. Now XMG doesn't currently have this named, but I'm sure lots of ODMs are going to be picking it up because I think it's pretty cool. So depending on where you are in the world, you'd be buying it from someone different. Like maybe in North America, it could be Electronics or Origin, Southeast Asia, Venom, Aftershock. There's heaps of them all over the place. CLEVO makes so many laptops for people. I always find it so funny when people are like, oh, I just found this laptop brand. How has no one ever heard of this? It looks so good. And it's like, well, it's because it's this one. One other thing that's really cool about this guy is the 16:10 display. This is the first time that CLEVO's put a 16:10 on a laptop, and it is my favorite aspect ratio. It gives you just a little bit more vertical space. Productivity goes so much better. This right here is a Quad HD 240 Hertz display. In my mind, that's about perfect these days. Love it. Heaps of frames, heaps of pixels, but not too many. One final thing for this laptop and the one that we looked at before, both have a mux switch and NVIDIA Advanced Optimus. So that means that you don't have to go back into like the BIOS or anything or do a reset in order to get the full power of your GPU. I/O is essentially the same. Get a micro SD card slot if you want that. So I can't wait to get this thing in the lab, no matter under what name it arrives therein. But yeah, this thing looks wicked. So hit like, get subscribed, and if you want to watch something else, I don't know, we have a bunch of CES videos. I don't know what's been released yet.